What is up, guys, and welcome to episode 10 of the Paper and Purpose podcast. I'm Ryan, and I absolutely hate the feeling of survival mode, the mode where you're living in a primal state of paycheck to paycheck, and I want to help people escape so they can live life to its full potential. This is the podcast where I gather the gems and nuggets about money from people who make it, manage it, or multiply it well to help people escape survival mode. And today's guest has built a seven-figure business as a digital landlord and teaches others how to do the same. I am pleased to welcome Nick Wood. Nick, welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, bro?
Good to have you.
I was going to say, you're
good to have you, but I'm not the one having you. But good,
yeah, right? You're kind of used to doing the podcast. That's why I was interested in doing this, so you could be on the other end of it. I said you're a digital landlord in the beginning, but I wanted to say digital drug dealer. Can you tell us a little bit about your business model, kind of what you do, and what you teach other people to do as well?
Yeah. So the reason that I called it that is one day I was sitting at home. And my daughter was playing with her friends. This is like a couple years ago. And I just heard their friend go up to her. I watched the whole thing, and she's like, she whispered to her, she's like, "Does your dad work?" And so I was like, dude, I'm doing it right if my kids' friends don't even think I work, right? And so anytime anyone asks me, like, "What do you do, man?" Like I always see you're never dressed up. You're like always lounging around in like these comfortable clothes. It's just easier sometimes. I'm like, I sell drugs, and there's always that laugh like, ha, 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 ha. And then, but sometimes I'll like explain, and sometimes I don't, but either way, I'm like, I don't really care. But, so what that means though, the reason that I say that is I have a program where I teach people how to go and start a lead generation business. And the way that we do it is by generating a few leads up front and giving them to a business owner and letting them taste it and then closing the deal. So it's similar to like a drug dealer, like, hey, here's a little sample of my whatever. And then
first it's free.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the thing. And I know like I'm probably going to get black boxed or sandboxed by somebody, Google or YouTube or whatever, but it's just a catchy little thing. But no, I call it digital drug dealing. Or being a digital landlord, and that is why.
And how long have you been in the space? When did you get into it? What made you kind of pursue that? Was it on accident? Was it something that you took a course on and learned about?
Yeah.
How did you get into the industry?
So 6 years. So what I started at, going way back to 2013, and we can talk about this in a second. But I just gotten back from Africa I was 21 years old. And I got sucked into this sales world where here in Utah, there's so many companies that go door to door. And so I got a call, of course, like everybody else, like, hey, you can make all this money. So I got sucked into this door to door world, which literally for those that are listening, you literally like travel to another state, pack up your life, travel to another state. And from 2 o'clock in the afternoon till 9 o'clock at night, every single day of the week, and Saturdays 8 to 8, 8 to 9, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., you are literally knocking door to door selling home security systems. So anyway, I got sucked into that, and about 4 years into it, and you're like, dude, how did you do this for 4 years, right? Like, it was insane. But about 4 years into it, I was like, okay, this isn't working. I had 2 kids. My wife's like the money's great because making a couple $100,000 a year, but we can't keep doing this. We got to like let them kind of like plant some roots or whatever. And it was a lot. And I was tired. I was really tired. So yeah, I actually just stumbled across this thing called lead generation. And a friend of mine actually had a podcast, and he's like, hey, because I was like, how do I get out of this? I'm trapped. I'm making a couple $100,000 and I don't want to do this anymore. But I need something to segue out. And he's like, well, are you interested in doing something on the internet? And I was like, I love the internet. It fascinates me, the whole digital nomad and whatever. So anyway, I stumbled. He's like, watch this podcast I did with this guy. And I ended up watching the podcast, and that led me to one thing to another. Before you know it, I bought a course and just learned, I didn't even know what hosting was. I didn't know what a domain was. I didn't know what backlinks were or any of this stuff 6 years ago. But I bought this course, and that was like my entry into the space. And for the last 6 years, not totally in, but off and on, I've been trying to figure this thing out.
It seems like you've got it figured out. You've kind of got it down to a science, and you've got some students who have raving reviews about you, who have scaled their businesses to 30K plus a month. And it's pretty incredible what you've done. Would you say that your sales background is a big key of what's led to your success there? I would say that like hopping on phone calls and pitching to get leads to people has probably been a lot easier because of the sales background, going door to door and not really having that stigma or maybe being scared to get on the phone with people.
Yeah. And even before I did the door-to-door sales, I was a Mormon missionary living in Africa. So I've been going door to door doing some sales since I was 19 years old. So definitely, I definitely think that's the case. But what's cool about what I teach is when you give somebody results in advance, when you give somebody the thing that you're selling and you're like, hey, no obligations, you just taste it, try it, touch it, feel it before we talk money. That does most of the selling for you if you have a good product. So you'll look at, like, if you looked at my student list and the people that are getting deals, like I have a student that's doing 45K a month, no sales background, right? Like there are a few, but most of these people are just random, regular people that don't have a sales experience. But if you have sales experience or you are good at sales, does it help? Of course. And so, yes, I believe I've gotten here in the time I have because of the sales. And I always say that, I'm like, for these kids or people that are in college, maybe listen to this, are like, well, I'm in college because of my mom, or I'm in college to get a safety net and get an accounting degree. The ultimate safety net, in my opinion, is go learn how to sell. Mm-hmm. Because the first person that every company wants to hire and the last person that everyone wants to fire is the salespeople, because they're the ones that's driving the engine. So, anyway, but that's coming from me, who's also a college dropout.
Right.
So,
well, and the people that make the most money for the business. And ultimately, that's what whoever the CEO of the business wants, is to make money at the end of the day. So that's why salesmen's
totally,
they're usually the best paid across the board.
100%. Yeah.
The business model is so genius to me because my friend JK, he talks about the best business model is where you can charge somebody $1 and you make them $3. And that's the ultimate end goal for what you're doing for all these business owners. You want to get them leads so they can scale their business, so they can just have steady business. And it was honestly how I came across you. I have a buddy who is a welder. He's been doing it for a couple of years, and he's worked for some shitty bosses. Mm-hmm. And I've been telling him for a while, just go do it on your own. And he's so scared that he will get out and won't make the money he needs to make. And I'm like, let me just figure out this lead generation thing. Let me go do it for a couple other people, and then I'll do it for you. So it kind of all crossed, and the paths just kind of aligned to where I'm wanting to try this out myself, but it'll work out where I can do it for him as well. So
yeah,
it's cool. I can't wait to see where it goes.
It's cool when you have a service where, like, you know, so for everyone that knows, I started by doing the actual lead generation. I have an agency that we have clients all across the United States. And then that led to, as I started landing clients, other people doing this business that are lead generation companies. They're like, hey, how are you getting so many clients? And I started to see an opportunity. I'm like, let me teach them how I'm doing it. So I created a program to teach other people. So I have two different segments. I have my clients, and then I have my students that I teach how to do this. So, but dude, it's cool to have a program where you can literally give it to, you know, like I had one of my best friends call me, and he's in the mortgage business, and he's like, hey, something's going on. This is in November. He kind of sniffed it out. He's like, something's going to happen here. I can just feel it. It feels weird. And he's like, what should I do? He's like, I see you. I don't even know what you do. And I was like, dude, you need to hop into this business. And to have something you can say, hey, this is how much it costs, jump in and learn it. And you know that they're going to make money. And he's making, right now, he actually sells for me. He also has his own clients. He's making over $6K a month passively on his projects, all assets that pay him, like, you know, while he's sleeping. And so it's just really cool to have a service like that for my program. And then also on the other side, for your clients, I sold door to door. I sold home security systems, and I believe that's a good product. Yes. But when you're selling something that pays for itself, when you're selling something that actually can make someone money, it's such a different sale, because it's an investment. And you could say, hey, if you just close X amount of deals, not only is this going to pay for itself, but you're going to get a 3, 4, 5, 6X return. And let me show you these other clients I've done this for. So it's cool because I've done both. I've sold the other stuff where it's like, you don't feel icky about it, but it's like, do they really need it? And it's like, right. For this, I have no problem just saying, look, you said you want to change your life. You said you're tired of being stuck to your job. You said you're tired of being stuck to your city. Why not try this? And here's 100 of my students that I can show you are doing this and making gobs of money doing it. You know, not all of them are making 45K, but, you know, a lot of them are doing really well. So
And it may be hard to pick for you, but what's your favorite aspect of it? Is it the scale? Is it the passiveness of it? Is it helping business owners? What's your favorite thing about the business model?
The fact that there's an asset.
Yeah.
So for those that are listening, like, what does that mean? What we do is once we get these clients, we go and we take the money and we build these very simple, tiny websites in local markets. So a good example would be, let's take a city like Austin. Austin's too big for my taste, but just for the sake of this, we would say Austin Concrete. I built a website called austinconcrete.com, right? I would do my SEO stuff, which I teach, and we would rank the website. And we'd start getting organic leads, and we'd take those leads and sell them to a business owner. But here's the gangster part about this whole thing is we own the website. We own that asset. And I had a mentor of mine, this is about a little over a year ago, and they said something that like has stuck with me. They said, I do not, if there is not an asset attached to the thing that someone's asking me to spend time on, I just say no. And so I'm like, that's genius, right? If I'm going to put time in, which I can't get back, there has to be an asset, whether it's a course, whether it's a website, whether it's a piece of content. If there's no asset, I refuse at this point in my life to trade my time for dollars, no matter what the cost is. And I've had people offer like significant amounts of money. And it's just like the principle is I have to have an asset attached because that's how you get wealthy. So that's my favorite piece is you are building digital assets that will continue to pay you forever and ever and ever. And if your client cancels, you just go sell them to their competitor, which is amazing.
So it really is like being a landlord where if you have somebody move out or they get evicted, they just can't handle the leads that you're giving them.
That's it.
You just go on to the next one. You've got a website that's already generating the leads. There's 10 other people giving the same service in that town. You just go seek them out, the people that do want to grow, and on to the next, and probably can go up on your prices.
And think about it. You're literally like, okay, let me go to the next guy. And you're like, okay, these leads are coming in organically. So I'm just going to give them 3 of them. It's costing me almost nothing. Try 3 of them out and then let's talk. And then, I mean, it's just such an easy sale compared to knocking on a door and asking for $100 a month or $70 a month for a home security system, which you may or may not need. With this, it's like, no. And by the way, I only target people who are already paying for Google advertising or some of these other services because I know they're already sold on my thing. Now I just got to show them that mine's a better option. So,
So a few years back, you talked about, I think it was a BMW that you have, that you bought because of, I think you had started a business in 2016, didn't go the way you wanted. And I think it ultimately ended you on the path that you're on now. Do you mind talking about the business that didn't go well for you? I feel like some of the failures that entrepreneurs have, that people starting businesses, really just failures in general, those are really the integral pieces of your life that really either teach you a lesson or give you a kick in the butt that you needed, or do whatever is needed to send you down the path that ultimately ends up being what you're meant for.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like it's more, the failures are way more interesting than the successes anyway, right? Like I think so.
They really are.
And so that's a good question. So yeah, in 2016, I bought that program that kind of taught me, how to build a website, and it talked a lot about lead generation, but the sales piece is what was missing. It didn't talk heavily on that. And so I got a couple of deals and I was excited, and this is kind of embarrassing to even admit, but about 4 months later, I was like, it really sounds stupid, but I was like, it doesn't really sound cool to tell people that, I do digital marketing. Like I want to, like, it just, and that shows you the maturity of my, like where I was at the time. I was like thinking about like what other people would think. Like if somebody asks me what I do because I'm not doing sales anymore, I don't want to tell them I'm a digital marketer. I want to tell them something cool. So I got these deals. This business model was working and I shelved it. And I went and tried to start a software company. And I don't even think you can call it that because we never got the software. The whatever, the coder or the scammer, because we never got any code. We paid him $50,000 and it was like, hey, we're 5 days out from beta. It kept saying we're out from beta. Finally, one day my wife, and it was July 28th, 2017. She's like, Nick, there's no code. He's scamming you. Like, I don't know how long you need to like hear this. Anyway, that was still my fault. I'm not blaming anyone because I should have vet him out. Didn't sign any contracts. But anyway, on July 28th, she's like, you got to go get a job. We got to take care of the family. No more pipe dream. And I was like, I'm not getting a job. Like, there's no way. So I said, give me 3 days. And we had $3,000 in the bank. We needed about 6 at the time because we had a couple kids and the house and the car. So I was like, I'll get $3,000 in 3 days. If I don't, I'll go get a job. And I knew I wasn't going to get a job. So I grabbed this program. I was like, I got to hone up, and I started watching some videos. I'm like, what's the quickest way to make money? And I'm like, I know how to do some SEO. So dude, I just started pounding the phones, and I got $3,000 deals in 3 days. And I went to my wife. I was like, here we go. This is what I'm going to do. And so I jumped back in, and that's how I got back into digital marketing. And I was all embarrassed the year before to tell people, and getting that first $1,000 felt so good because it had been so freaking long since I had made money, and it just seeing that $1,000 come in minus the Stripe fee, I was like, oh, I don't even care if it's $10. Just feel good to be in the green. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
And to tie it up, what happened is the next month I made $10,000, which is crazy because I made 0, then I made 3, then I made 10. And then I told my wife, I'm like, this is not a smart thing that I did, but I was like, if I hit 25K, I'm just going to go buy a BMW, right? Which sounds so dumb because I was coming off the tail end of just like almost going bankrupt. But she's like, yeah, that sounds good. She didn't think I would hit it. And that's just, that stuff motivates me. And so I hit it. It was October 20th. I hit it 10 days early. And so I went from making nothing to hitting 25K. That was top line. And I went and bought this little X4, and just thought I was cranking. But that's the story behind the whole BMW thing.
Yeah, those moments when your back's against the wall, they're some of the most stressful times. But whenever you just roll your sleeves up, get to work, and just make shit happen, whether it be digital alchemy, whatever you have to do to make that money, the story afterwards is incredible to me. But yeah, I've been in that situation multiple times, and telling the story is a lot more fun than actually being in it and being stressed about how you're going to pay this bill or whatever it is.
Oh, dude. In the moment, you're like, this is never going to end. And then when you're out of it, you're like, oh, this is kind of a good story, but it sucks. It sucks bad. So anyone that's out there that's listening, it's like, we've all been there. We've all been in the shit. And you just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Sometimes it doesn't seem like there's daylight ahead.
So I think this is something that you were wanting to talk about tomorrow. So maybe this will be kind of a warm up. But you talked about buying the BMW. You talked about being driven by things that some people find taboo, whether it be recognition or having access to things that other people can't, or just being respected because of your success. Tell me kind of what things like that motivate you, why they motivate you, and how you kind of harness that self-awareness of knowing they motivate you to drive you further and further.
Yeah. So I think for a long time, I just kind of, it's kind of a taboo thing to say that you're driven by notoriety or power or being whatever, right? These things, it's like, no, I'm motivated because I like to help people and all these things. And so over the years, as I've kind of gotten more mature and a little bit more confident in myself, I'm like, you know what? I not only do I not think, but I'm okay with the fact that those are the things that drive me, because I know that's not necessarily the end all be all. Like, it's not like that's the only thing that I want, but if those things drive you and it allows you to get to those levels, then great, harness, like just embrace it. Like, I think that's probably unpopular to say, because everyone's like, you should be like, you should not be driven by that. And all these things you need. No, I don't believe that. I think that whatever you have, I've been thinking about this, and Tim Grover always talks about the dark side, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever understood that. And I think that I'm kind of understanding that now. I think that is a little bit my dark. Is that what he calls it? The dark side, or your?
I can't remember what it is, but he talks about, I mean, you obviously see it in Kobe and Michael Jordan and some of the people that he coached. I can't remember what the exact terminology is, but just embracing that like dark energy that you kind of have, I guess.
And it's like, I know it's not something that like maybe some people will be proud of, but it's like, I know that drives me and it fuels me. And instead of trying to like suppress it, I'm just letting it run wild, and I'm just using it to go to the next level and seeing how far it can take me. So, I'm going to be talking in depth on this tomorrow on the live coaching call inside the group. So you'll hear about this, but that's the whole concept. Is I've just come to the fact, like, it's okay to be driven by those things. It's okay to be I know a lot of people out there, they're driven to get that, like, what is it? they want to be approved by others, or they want to, what's the word I'm looking for? They want to be, yeah, that's probably a better word. They want to be validated. And do I think that that's like the healthiest thing? No, but like, if it's who you are, like, why not harness it to get to the next level? I just think we try and suppress it. Everyone wants to fit inside this box. We're all different, right? We're all driven by different things. And we'll chat about this, but like, I have bigger plans. Like I want to do a lot of stuff overseas, and, like I have that side of me, but there is definitely that side that is taboo, and I'm more than happy to embrace it at this point in my life.
Well, I think if you think about like just people suppressing things, and when they finally lean into it, it ends up being magic. Like you have like the class clown, and he's always told to act right and sit still and be quiet, and then they finally lean into it when they're older, and they end up being the next Joe Rogan or the next big comedian or actor or musician or whatever it is. If you just lean into those things that innately you are, I think there's a lot more magic on the other side.
That's a great way to put it, dude. And I love like hearing people's perspectives. I put a post on my Facebook wall. Is it called a wall still? Feed, whatever.
I think it's still the wall.
Okay. And I just put like, who said it's wrong to be obsessed with being rich? And holy shit, you like the amount of people that like I haven't even heard from for years, and it's like this comment and this comment and this comment. Mm-hmm. It's like, whoa, guys, you don't even know like where I stand. And I just wanted to see the different answers, but there's such this stigma behind like being, it's like, if you're not rich, what do you, how are you going to do those good, wholesome things that you want to do if you're tied to your 9-to-5 job? Like I believe everyone's number one focus should be on getting rich, because you can do, and I know you can donate time. And I did that. I did donate 2 years of my time. But you take that good energy, those plans you have, you mix it with money, and you can change the world. So, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've heard it across different time periods, across different people. You hear Naval talk about it. I've heard I can't remember the name, but last name. Naval's incredible, but him, Waddles, he has a book called The Science of Getting Rich. But they basically just talk about how you can't truly realize your full potential in life. You can't do all the things that you want to do without having money. So I really wish people would get over whatever limiting beliefs they have or stigmas they have around money, and just lean into the fact that you need money to live life to your full potential. Not that everything has to be a material thing. You just have to go and get money so that you can provide and not have to stress. Like I talk about in the beginning of my show, survival mode is a terrible place for most people to be residing in for the majority of their life. And most people just need to get out of it so they can experience the fullness of life.
Speaking of, so Naval, this just reminded me of Naveen Jain. Have you heard him? Mm-hmm. Naveen always talks about, he's like, if you want to do, he says it in this exact, I think this is verbatim. If you want to do a small good, he calls it a small good in the world, then go start a nonprofit. If you want to do a big good, if you want to change the world, you got to start a business. And so my whole like life mission right now is, through accumulating assets, digital and physical, I want to get as rich as possible and change the world. And that way I'm not going, let's say I want to start something in Africa, I want to start a school that teaches people how to make their own money, right? I don't have to go begging donors to fund my school every single year and make the pony show. I have a business that's self-sustaining, that I don't have to listen to anybody. I don't have to ask anybody. I don't have to beg for money. It runs itself, and it provides opportunities even within the business. So I'm not a big nonprofit guy. And I've had people not happy with me saying that, because I have a whole other like thing I do in Africa, and I have people send some really nasty messages about, I'm like, it's cool, that's your thing, but I want to not have to go and beg anyone for money. I want to use my money and make this as big as possible. So that's my thoughts.
So we've touched on it a few times. Let's go ahead and get into it. Creole Bobo. Let's talk about Africa. How did you get into going over there the first time? What's made you fall in love with the continent and keep going back every year? Tell me about how you started going to Africa and just kind of your story there, and the woman behind you, if you want to get into that as well.
Yeah, so I'll start there. The woman behind me is, by the way, I lived in West Africa. I lived in Sierra Leone, which, if you guys have seen the movie Blood Diamond with Leo. And by the way, he actually speaks Creole. There's a scene in there. He jacks it a little bit, but he does a good job. So that, if you've seen that movie, they didn't film it there, but that was the whole movie was about that country. So this photo is a woman that's in a village, and I keep it here because I think everyone likes to put like the picture of money or the picture of Jordan Belfort. But I live there, and every time I look at this, because I know what those people, like the people that live there, just to get water, right? Just to make dinner is work, and it's hard work. Like it's like 50-pound bag of rice up the hill, like the women, right? And so when I look at this, and you could just see it in her eyes, she's tired, but she's got that like satisfied look, and she's worked her ass off. So whenever I like look at that, and I'm like, dude, you have it so easy. Like you have it so easy. You're sitting in your AC, you're in your freaking stretchy shirt in your house, making whatever amount of money you want to make, and you have everything at your fingertips. Like it's not that hard, Nick. Come on, like you don't need a nap. Let's snap out of it. So that's why I keep it there. I don't actually know that lady, but I saw this image. I reached out to the guy and I bought it from him. But yeah, so when I'm Mormon, by the way, I live in Utah. Maybe you would have guessed, but in the Mormon religion or the LDS religion, when you are 19, it's now 18, but at the time it was 19, you literally like apply. So it's the most hilarious thing. You actually apply to volunteer. You go through this like whatever. They make sure that you're cool. You're living the standards, all this different stuff. And then you just like send in your information, and you get an email. Then you just got this packet in the mail, and you would open it up, and it tells you where you're going to be living for the next 2 years. And so I had no idea where Sierra Leone was at. And by the way, I could have just as easily been asked to go to Colorado, like my little brother. My other brother went to England. I could have gone to South Africa. I could have gone to Europe. I could have gone to Russia. I had no idea. So that's how I ended up in Africa. And I literally, when I opened it up, I'm like, I have no idea where this is at. I had to Google it. And all of a sudden I was like, I knew it was Africa. And I'm like, and I started learning about it. I had no idea. I was one of those guys that thought Africa was a country. No, I'm serious. And the people that's from Africa, they're like, dude, you're such a classic, like just small town white kid, because that's what like, and I was like, I didn't know where it was. So that's how I got there. I lived there for 2 years, doing missionary work, pretty hardcore stuff. Like we couldn't call home. I was able to call home on Mother's Day and Christmas for 1 hour. So I spoke to my parents 4 hours total in 2 years. No media, no phone, no nothing. It was just you're doing the work, and I mean it was amazing. It was.
What years were these? What 2 years?
This is when I was 19 and 20, but this is 2011 and 12.
11 and 12.
So anyway, that's how I got there. And then when I got home and I started doing the digital stuff, I was like, I just had this itch to like have an excuse to go back, and I was like, how can I do it? And I started thinking. I was talking with one of my buddies, and he's like, look at this country. Like what's like, it's got all these diamonds. It's got rutile. It's got all these minerals, and everyone says that's what it's rich in. But you know what it has the most of? And I was like, what? He's like, human capital. People are just sitting on the street. They're smart. They have educations. They have no jobs. So I'm like, dude, that's it. So I'm like, how do I outsource my work instead of going to Philippines or one of these other countries? I'm going to go set up shop in West Africa. So I actually have an office space. It's not like the typical, like they're at home. It's an actual office space rented. And I have a team of 5 people that work remotely for my lead generation company here in the US.
Incredible, man. And whenever you make your trips over to Sierra Leone, whenever you come back, what do you miss the most about it? And whenever you get back to the States, what are you most grateful to have that you don't have there in Sierra Leone?
Yeah, I go over, and by the way, I go over every 6 months or at least every year, and I always take somebody new. Every time I've gone, I've taken somebody new. So this last trip, I took my mom and my wife. I've taken my dad's been 4 times. I've taken my buddy who works with me. He's 6'9", shuttled him over. I've taken another girl. I mean, I love watching people experience it for the first time. That's like my favorite thing. But every time I go, I check on the office, but I don't have to go. It's a reset for me. And I go there, and it brings me back to like, turn off the phone, and like, I don't know. It kind of like just resets it for me. And I'm on the plane, and I'm on the way home, I'm so excited to get back to the grind, because I just remember, again, back to the picture, how easy I have it compared to there in terms of like access and technology, and just something as simple as a flushing toilet or power. And so, and by the way, it is not near as bad. Like you're thinking the country's amazing, but like there are parts that you have to deal with those things. So when I come back, it's just a reset for me. And so that's what I'm always excited to come home. I'm always excited to go back. The thing that I miss the most when I'm here is just the way that I feel when I'm there, if that makes sense. And I always try and explain it to people. I'm like, you got to go. I can tell you about it. I can show you pictures, but unless you go there, the only way to explain it is it's a feeling. And I took my dad the first time. Dad's never been out of the US ever. He's a farm boy, born and raised, never been outside the US, dude. And my first time taking him outside the country, we go to West Africa. And it was during the elections. There was like somebody killed a couple days before in a riot, and he's freaking out. And he calls me a week after we get home, and he's like, dude, I'm not going to lie. Last Wednesday, I would have paid any amount of money to get a helicopter to get me out of there because I was just absolutely freaking out. I was just culture shock. And he calls me a week later and he goes, Mom asked me, he's like talking about my mom. He's like, Mom asked me, was it fun? And I said, no, it wasn't fun. Like, I can't say it was fun. He's like, but I have this like itch to go back already. And he's like, I can't explain it. I just want to go back. And so it's this weird thing. It sounds like absolutely bananas. Like we just go over there and get some kind of like brainwashing, but like you want to go back. And even my mom and my wife that just went, they're ready. We're going to go again in December. So yeah, that's the whole story with Africa. I have a separate like identity. Like I created this account where I just speak the language because I learned the language. And I just say just random stuff that no one will say. And so I actually did a video on the BBC a couple years ago with them, which was kind of cool. Flew over there, did the video. And so, yeah, I have that whole separate thing that people like. So are you Nick? Are you digital landlord? Are you Creole? The name Creole Bobo. That's how you say it. That means Creole boy.
So what's kind of the agenda whenever you go over there now? I know you started with mission work. I know now you'd like to bring people over there and just kind of see them light up, seeing the new experience. Is it mostly exploration?
It's exploration, showing people. But then I've also now started to like get into the business side. So I always like to meet with one or two of the business players in the space. So like I just go over and try and build a relationship. So the people that are doing real estate deals, the people that own the businesses, the property, it's a small country. And so you can kind of get networked in. So every time I go, I try and meet with a couple of like the big business magnates that are over there. Is that how you say it? Magnets, whatever.
I think that's right.
And yeah, so now I'm just like, I'm kind of positioning myself because long-term, I want to do some incredible stuff over there that I am going to make money on. So anyone that's from there that's listening, when you call me out and say, oh, you're just trying to make money. Yes, I am. But at the same time, I'm going to change a lot of lives because I'm going to provide opportunities for people that are sitting on the street doing nothing just right now because there's no jobs, right?
Yeah, I see some, I don't know if it's hate or jealousy or what it is in the online community, but I have a lot of people that run different online businesses that I'm friends with, and they have VAs, whether it be over in the Philippines or whatever. And you can be paying what's a subpar wage here, but it can be life-changing for them over there. And I'm sure that's probably how it is for your employees that you have over in Sierra Leone.
Oh, if you knew what I paid, you would call me like, oh, you're taking advantage. I gave them, the people that work for me, they got a 50% raise from what they were getting paid. And that's if they had a job. Like the going rate of a college graduate, I gave them a 50% raise, and you'd die if you knew what they've got. But I think I was listening to this. I think I was listening to Phil Knight talk about this or something because he got all that hate for the sweatshops, whatever they call it. Is like, if you go and just pay people $10 an hour or $20 an hour, no one's going to want to be a doctor. Like you're actually you're going to hurt the country net long term because you have to do something that's like within reason, or else no one, if you go in and give everyone jobs to just sit at so there's that, but also it's called arbitrage, right? Like you're selling it over here for this and you're doing it over there for that. And it is what it is. And that's the reason that I do it. Right. So I do have to go through some hoops. It costs me money to send the money, it costs me money to pay them. I have to stay up late to do Zoom calls. Like there's some stuff I have to go through to get that cheaper labor. And that's why we do it. So I have no shame whatsoever. So anyone that wants to throw hate, like go and drop some comments on my YouTube channel. I'll troll you back.
Speaking of hate, your Creo Bobo page that you have on Instagram, you have a whole Instagram highlight just dedicated to trolls. Why do you think you get so much backlash in your trips over there? Like, what? Why?
There's this whole thing out there called they call it white savior, and there's a couple different terms that they use. There's like the Stockholm effect, which I didn't even know what these things were, but I started posting, and what I found is it's always the people that were from the country, like they had ties back, and they moved to America or to Europe, and they had gotten like indoctrinated by some of these ways of thinking. It's never from the people that actually live there. Like if you notice, you go click on their profile, there's an account called let's not even get into that. But there's an account that always trolls me. And you're looking at it by the name of it and everything. You would think it was somebody that was from Africa. This is a white lady that used to like travel to Africa doing missionary trips. So I think a lot of it is just the way that people like get indoctrinated with the people that they're around. But like it's for me, it's not a big deal. But yeah, I get called white savior. Like I'm going over there exploiting people because I'm like, guys, I've never made any money from my Instagram. I've literally put in thousands of hours into creating this content, and I've never made $1. And when I do, I will definitely let you know, because I will. But up until this point, I haven't. So I think it's just, I don't know. It doesn't matter, but like, yeah, it gets interesting. I get a lot of messages that are like, who do you think you are? And Creo is actually a tribe. So people are like, you can't call yourself Creo Bobo because that's a tribe and you're white. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, whatever I want. I don't care. And I travel over there all the time, and it's a really peaceful, safe country. It's just a few, and you'll find that in any country, but yeah, it's kind of fun. So if you guys want some entertainment, just go and check out the comments on some of the posts I do. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, people, when they don't have enough going on in their own life for whatever reason, like to cling to just getting upset on somebody else's behalf or just trolling on the internet for no reason.
Isn't that funny, dude? I was in Vegas this last weekend shooting some content for our TikTok, and I was with a buddy, and we were just like shooting some photos. We like rented a studio to create the content, and then we just went outside and shot a couple because there was like a palm tree. And this guy comes out of his shop, and he's like, "Oh, can I get a picture? I want to get a picture." And I was like, I turned to my buddy, I'm like, "Do you know this guy?" He's like, "I have no idea." I'm like, what has to be wrong in that guy's life to like get out of his chair, come out and make fun of somebody that's like literally just snapping a picture? Anyway, dude, it's wild. It's a wild world.
A guy I really admire and follow, his name's Chris Johnson. He says it's never the haves that give you flack or any kind of like bad feedback. It's always the have-nots. It's always somebody that's out of shape that's mad at you for being in shape. It's always somebody that's unconfident that's mad at you for being confident. It's always the people that don't have money that thinks it's evil to be rich. Yep. It's always just have-nots, and it's
so true. Like, yeah, that's very true, especially on the money thing. Like, people don't want to talk about it, but it's the people that don't have it, right? And so luckily I grew up in a house where, we talked about it, and my dad he gave me Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it was like, he was always like, hey, if you're going to play basketball or you're going to play football, like you better be the best one on the field. You better, like, that kind of mentality. So if you're going to make money, if you're going to go into business, I'll be damned if you're going to go and half-ass it kind of a mentality. So that's why I'm like, I'm going to be in business. I want to be the biggest business. I want to make the most money. And why not? If I'm going to be in it, why be in the middle? Why be at the bottom? Why be at kind of the top? Why not just be the top, right? If you're going to do it.
Since you touched on books, you posted a while back on rereading books that have impacted you and applying them, and you posted Think and Grow Rich, and that's a book that absolutely changed my life. Yeah, I got it right behind me as well.
Dude, this thing,
you got to.
It slaps, dude. This hard copy hits a little different.
So good. When did you first read that book, and why did it have the impact on you that it did me?
That entire book is going to tell you a little bit about me and my wife's relationship. I read that book on my honeymoon. So most people, you know what you're doing on your honeymoon, right? And I read the whole book. My dad gave it to me a couple months before, and I just read the book on the honeymoon. So, that book is incredible. And one thing in my program, the first thing people do when they join, I make them go through this video I created, and they set their targets. They set their roadmap of how they're going to get to their goal. And we use the principles in this book to set those maps and set the big goal and then 90-day chunks. And then, hey, how do we get there? And if I called you on a Tuesday and I said, hey, what do you need to do today to get to your goal by July 1st? You could tell me exactly the things you need to do, because that's the problem is people get all distracted and they're excited, but then they lose focus. They don't know what to do. So that's the very first thing I have them do is watch a video, create their map, send me the map so I can hold them accountable. And I mean, that's how I roll. I love that book.
That's something I've been thinking about here recently. I think it sounds weird to say, but I think people set too big of goals. I think people aren't accustomed to setting the little chunks along the way to get them to that big goal. Everybody can dream up, I want to be a millionaire, or I want to make a certain amount of money, but nobody really thinks about the action steps in between. And that's where I think most people fall off.
I like to set 90-day sprints. I like to have that big goal. And by the way, like I'm kind of past the business books. I'm tired of business books, man. Like they're all the same. The OG books, like the Think and Grow Rich, there's a couple that have come out recently, but dude, you know what I mean? They're all the same, bro. And it's like, it's not that hard to write a book these days. So I'm done with, like, if I'm reading a book, I'm reading about some serial killers. I'm reading about Pablo Escobar. I'm reading about some dark shit. I got this book right now. Where's it at? I don't have it right here, but I have this book on like, what's it called? Like dark psychology. Like I have a book on cults. I like that kind of stuff because there's business lessons in that kind of stuff. I'm just tired of like all the same stuff, but dude, this is one that I would. That said, if you haven't read this, What It Takes by Stephen Schwartzman, he owns Blackstone.
Okay. Oh,
dude, what a book, man! And it talks right in the beginning. He says, if you're going to be in business, he's like, I've realized that small goals and big goals, they take about the same. They're taking the same amount of time. So if you're going to be doing it, you may as well go big. And I know what you mean. You're saying,
right.
But at the same time, like, let's have a vision of like, if I'm going to have one life and I'm going to create a business, why don't you be in the business where you can make the most amount of money? If you're going to do lead generation and be a digital landlord, why not be a digital landlord that has 100 properties or, and I bet by properties, I mean websites, or 500 and make a couple $100,000 a month instead of 5,000, because you're doing it anyway. You may as well do it big. Right. So I highly, that's like one of the only business books I would recommend that's been produced recently, but this is a phenomenal book. I've given this to like 5 people.
I'm with you there on being burnt out on business books. Now, there was definitely a 2 or 3 year period of my life where I was just consuming all I could, but I see you have Shoe Dog behind you. Like stories just give better lessons just because they're real. Like it's actually happened to somebody, and there's usually more impactful lessons within somebody's own life lessons than somebody just like trying to think of some bullet points of what you need to do in business or what have you.
My favorite types of books are biographies, business biographies, by billionaires. Those are my favorite, like Phil Knight, Steven Schwartzman. Then my second type is like the dark stuff, like serial killers, cults, like, because there's business lessons in that stuff is as dark as that sounds. You guys are like, who's this guy? Digital drug dealing, likes cults. Dude, my favorite.
Mormon.
Yeah, like I'm the guy that gets in bed. I'm like, I gotta calm down, and I'm turning on Narcos. I'm like learning about cartels. That's how I like ozone, dude. Like that, just the principles in that show. I mean, so those are my 2 favorite types. I'm totally with you. The business biographies by billionaires. That's my very favorite category. And those are the 2 that we just talked about.
What would you title the chapter of life that you're in right now?
Oh, that's a good question. What would I title? I don't even know, dude. I would probably say like right now I'm in here. I'll describe it like this. I don't know what I would title it. When I was in like 2017, 2018, when I started to make a little bit of money, I immediately tried to flex, right? I was like posting motivational stuff on Instagram and doing all this stuff. And I wasn't making shit, dude. Like if you really think about it, I was making money, but like that's compared to zero, right? And I was always talking about, and I was that, you got the friends that are like trying to be motivational, like, bro, you're monotone, stop. I was that guy, right? And I keep that stuff on Instagram because I'm like, I don't want to be, I'm embarrassed by it, but that was a chapter of my life. But at that time I wasn't making anything and I was acting like I was rich. And now I'm actually making money, like on paper. I would never 5 years ago, I would never believe that I'm where I'm at right now. And I feel like I'm nowhere because I'm just comparing myself to people that are just doing such bigger things. So I don't know, man, maybe like self-aware, like I'm in that self-awareness stage, but I'm also super hungry of like, that's a mix between self-awareness and fuck you money. Those are my.
I think we're all trying to get the fuck you money. They say if you look back on yourself and you aren't shaking your head, then you really haven't had enough where you're at.
I like that. Yeah, it's hard, dude. Everyone's gonna go look. You guys want to see some stupid content? Go look at my Instagram. Not on my digital drug dealing. I have a personal Instagram, and it's like I was trying to be all motivational. It's like, dude, stop. You're not. It's not cool. But you didn't know. Like at the time, you just thought it was like what you do, right? You got Gary Vee saying share everything, and you're like, okay, cool. Let me share this, right? I'm going to Starbucks again and not doing anything.
With self-awareness, it comes with focusing on the things that really matter. And I'm sure the things that really matter to you are your wife and kids. So tell me just kind of like about fatherhood and also just being married, kind of being a power couple and building an empire together. Like, what's that experience been like for you? Yeah.
Challenging, to be honest. I mean, I'm not the guy that's like going to be like, yeah, everything's peachy and whatever. And so challenging because I have that hair, that screw loose or that wild hair in me that like I can get laser focused on something. And that I think that's what drives me and what allows me to have success. But it also can be the thing that like causes a lot of issues because I will be the first to admit I am not the best at being balanced. I'm not the best at being present. So yeah, I mean, maybe like hopefully you're probably hoping, or maybe you're hoping that the answer would be like, you know, whatever. No, it's been a challenge and it's still a challenge. And we're like, I swear sometimes like every day we're having a conversation about like, hey, like I need you, you're like awesome. We appreciate it. Like we have this great life, but like we're still here. And so I don't know, man. It's tough. It's very, very difficult for me. I'm not, I know there's people out there that want to make just enough money that like they live a great life and they just go spend unlimited hours on the beach with their kids. And I really wish that I could say that that was me, but dude, I want to build big shit and I want to include my family in that, but I'm not that guy. Like I love it. I love it in doses, but I have to be, this is my thing. This is my drug. And so that's the raw, real answer. It's been,
no, I really appreciate your honesty on that. And I feel that to a large extent. There's definitely times where I've just gotten obsessed with different businesses or different projects I was going on and staying up till 4 a.m. working on something and wake up and I'm a zombie and not present or what have you. And I mean, there's trade-offs with everything. I mean, it's really hard to have balance and everything. My friend Billy, I had him on for the second episode. He says you can either have a round wheel, so talking about all your pillars in life, you have health, wealth, relationships, fitness, all that. You can have a round wheel and have balance, and it'll roll just fine. Or you can have like exceptionalism in a few of those pillars, whether it be in wealth or whether it be fitness or your relationships. But you can't have both. And I think the more I think about it, the more I think he's absolutely right. You really have to choose between balance or finding some sort of exceptionalism in whatever pillars are most important to you.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that means sometimes you got to cut the hobbies. Like I don't do a lot of stuff outside of work. I don't have a lot of friends I hang out with. I work and like I do golf. That's something I love. Outside of that though, like, you know, my wife went to a show last night and like I got the kid, like my youngest down because she was with me and I worked like that. Like that's what I do. And I was creating content for my, you know, my different channels. So I love it though, dude. Like it doesn't feel like work to me because it's just, I love building something and watching it grow, and the money's exciting and watching people freaking hit 45K. I mean, dude,
is that what the kind of the online presence is for you right now? Like you've built your own thing, you've found your own success, making plenty of money. So with having the group and introducing people to what you're doing, is that what it's kind of about for you right now? Is it putting people on and helping other people? No.
I mean, I am in the process, but I'd be lying to you if I was one of those guys that said, you know, hey, why are you doing this? I'm like, I just like to help people, which I think is bullshit. I think everyone does it for a selfish reason. I created this program because I saw an opportunity to make money, which I could then put back into more digital real estate. And I bought, you know, some physical real estate this year as well. But at the same time, I understand that in order to achieve that, I'm helping people do it. So I'm not going to be the guy that says I'm at that stage. like I think there are some people that like just don't need any more money and they literally do not care. I definitely care. So, but I also think it's a win-win. I hate when like I have a buddy that's like, hey, I'll just hook you up for free, because then you get the homie service, which is I'll answer your call when I have a second. I pay all my friends for their shit. I pay full price. Like I have friends that have courses. I pay full price. I bought a real estate course. I bought another digital course, full price. I don't want a discount. I want to be treated as a customer. So I don't think it's bad to like, have a win-win transaction. I don't at all. And I don't know if I'll ever be the point where I just give stuff away for free, because people don't value it. Like I give away my content for free, but if you want like the full blueprint, you got to pay for that shit, because if you don't, you're not going to see this through. It's just going to be another thing.
And you're just continuing to build digital real estate and things that are evergreen and continue to last and will still have relevance in 5 years and people can still benefit from. So.
And dude, my company is called.
Did you kind of have that foresight whenever you named it that? Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
Got to.
Yeah. It wasn't like what it is now, but it was like, I'm going to produce these sites that are going to produce money for me and my clients year round. So I was like, evergreen sounds kind of catchy. So, but I think it's bigger now, because now I'm like, everything I do, my program, if I do anything, I want it to be evergreen. I want to build it once. And that's another thing. Like, and anyone that hasn't read Naval's like Twitter storm, whatever, on how to get rich without getting lucky. That's incredible. And he talks about a lot of the same principles, right? So there's got to be an asset attached. It's got to pay you more than once. You got to be able to make money while you're sleeping. It's got to be scalable. And all these different boxes in this dream business model, they're all in this thing that I teach, that I call being a digital landlord.
I produced a video. Right? I kind of forgot about it until we started talking about this, but there's an L word to getting rich, and it's not lucky, it's leverage. And you got to have leverage, whether it be from your own digital assets, whether it be from your audience, whatever it is. And Naval talks about the different forms of leverage. But yeah, you've got to have leverage to get ahead.
You do. And what are the different ones? There's code, there's media, and then there's human capital.
I want to say there's a fourth.
There's a 4 or 3.
Can't think of it right now.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. People don't realize that. And like people, there's probably someone listening right now and they're like, dude, like this guy, he's not that, like, I'm better. Like, and I think that all the time about people. Like, that guy, I know I'm smarter than that person. I know, and I'm working harder than that person. But guys, that's not, and I heard Warren Buffett say something like this, not through him. I heard Alex Hormozi share the story about how Warren Buffett said something like, it's not as important, how hard you row the boat isn't as nearly as important as what boat you're in. Translation, you can work 60 hours a week, but if you are in a business model that has no leverage, that you are only trading your time for dollars, you will never get rich. You could work 100 hours a week, you will never get rich. But if you switch the vehicle and you go into a business like digital real estate, where you can make money while you sleep, you can scale it, you can do it recurring, you can hire people overseas, you put that same 100 hours and watch what happens, right? You're going from the dinghy or the tug or the rowboat to the Conor McGregor Lambo yacht. Shout out to McGregor.
Yes, it is.
By the way,
where does your candor come from? One thing I've appreciated about this conversation, you don't put up a facade. Like you're real and you're you, and it comes through. Where do you think that comes from? The honesty and candor that you have.
I just think I think because I probably was like you, and I got into the business books early, and I tried, like, I'm trying to do everything that I see being done over and over. I'm trying to do it opposite, right? So go check out my TikTok. You're going to go look at the TikTok and go, dude, did you even like shoot that video more than once? And the answer is no. I shoot the videos once. Like, I mean, not really, once in a while if I mess up, but like I shoot them once. Like my YouTube videos, I just barely started putting a little like intro on them. I just move fast because everyone out there is so polished and so perfect, and every picture and the filters. And I'm like, no, screw that. If you go look at my websites that are making me thousands of dollars, you're going to literally go, that is dog shit. Like my 12-year-old could design that better. And you're right. But guess what? The money's not dog shit. The money's amazing. So I'm trying to look at this and go, okay, what's everyone doing? They're zigging, let me zag. And so I think everyone right now, it's like, I want to help people. And, I have a great relationship with my wife, and we're a power couple. And, this and that. And it's like, nope, that's actually not me. And so here's the truth. And after a couple of years of being in business, you know when people are bullshitting you, dude. You know it. When I get on calls with students, we were on one just barely with someone that just joined my program like an hour before this. And that's the first thing that they said. They're like, I saw your YouTube stuff and I don't know what it was. I just love that I could tell you weren't full of shit. And so I get that almost every day when I'm on calls. And it's because people are not stupid. People are not stupid. They're not going to believe your crap and your rented Lambo and all this stuff. It's like, it's got to be real. So I'm not perfect, by the way. I think I catch myself sometimes trying to make it sound better than it is, but I'm doing my best to just be real and like, this is what it is right this moment. And
I think it's quite the opposite. I think you're very honest and you really just tell things how it is. Nick, I've taken up a lot of your time. Do you mind if I hit you with just a couple rapid fire questions and we'll wrap it up, man? I've really enjoyed this conversation, brother.
Absolutely, man. What,
yes. Well, mostly just social security number and mother's maiden name.
I'm not wrong. You better be careful about what you ask because I will tell you everything.
You may have already said it earlier, but what's been some of the best advice you've ever been given?
I think the biggest piece of advice, at least I can think of, is whatever you're going to do, make sure that you're creating an asset. And if you just think about that, if that was the only thing you thought, is that the only rule you applied, the framework you looked at with any business you're getting into, if you're not creating an asset, don't do it. Like if you're going to go into copywriting and you're just doing it for money, don't do it because you can't scale it. You're going to do SEO, you can't scale it. You have to have the asset to have leverage. So that's probably the best piece of advice I've ever heard. And this was literally like, he didn't even mean to give it to me. And I just kind of picked it up and I was like, that's a nugget. And I've just
what's your favorite thing that money's done for you? Could be something you bought. It could just be places it's gotten you that you normally wouldn't be able to get in. Just what has it done for you? Or could be freedom, anything.
This is kind of an interesting answer. It's nothing that I've bought. I think it's the confidence that it's given me. Like, because I went that year of like, I had, since I graduated and went on my missionary trip, I didn't work. I didn't make money. That was a volunteer, by the way. I had to pay $400 a month for that. So I made no money on that. But when I got back, I immediately started making money. That year I had where I made no money, that shattered my confidence, man. Like, I was this guy, I'm making 150, 200 and I'm a salesman. And then I go to making nothing. It crushed my confidence. And so the biggest thing it's done for me is it's helped me to it's cool too, to watch my students. They're these people, they're not confident, but they're not super confident. They get that first deal, they make that first money, and you just see the light in their face. And they're like, all of a sudden they're excited. They're talking about it. They're bold. They're like, it's very cool to watch. And I don't even know if it is the money itself, but I don't know. I think that is what it is it's given me confidence because it's like, not everyone can do it. And I feel like I've gotten pretty good at it. So it's kind of a weird answer, but that's probably
I usually ask this question, what advice would you give to a smart driven college student about to enter the real world? But I think a better question today would be, what advice would you give to an 18-year-old who's in high school right now? There's not any kind of plan that they know they want to go that requires a college degree. They don't want to go be a doctor. They don't want to go do anything that requires a degree. What kind of advice would you give them if they know there's not any kind of clear path through college? What should they go do? Yeah.
Go learn sales. Go learn sales. You don't got to learn it from, and I said, you don't gotta, I'm from a small town in Utah. So I'm still learning my English. You don't need to have sales experience to start, but you want to have a safety net. You want to know that you're always going to be taken care of. You want to know that your family is always going to be taken care of. You want to know that you're always going to be good. Go learn sales, because if I would have at any time during that year I didn't make money, threw in the towel, I could have gotten a sales job immediately. And sales was the thing that got me out of that shitty situation. Sales is the reason that I'm here right now. Go learn sales, because every company is hiring salesmen. Always, every day of the year, 24/7. They will always hire you if you're willing to do it on commission.
Yeah, skills pay the bills, and I'd say sales is probably one of the top skills out there for anybody to go learn. What's the second most beneficial skill that you've acquired?
That's interesting. Let's see. That's a good question. Second most after sales would be,
I
think leverage, dude. Leverage. I think I know you kind of reminded me of that word. I think we've been talking about it, but you hit on the head. It's like, even the door-to-door sales, I was making, I had a year I made $210K in 5 or 6 months knocking doors. You're like, that's phenomenal, right? But guess what? I had to trade my time for dollars. And every year the clock reset. And until I got into this business model where I had the leverage of the internet, I was never going to make millions of dollars because I was always trading my time for dollars. So I would definitely say sales, number one, learn leverage and how you can use it to your advantage. If you're stuck in the wrong boat or the wrong vehicle, you can work as hard as you want and you will never get rich.
If you could only spend 2 hours a week working on your business, what's the highest ROI task that you can do?
Right now is producing content. Because I have salespeople. But before now, it was doing sales. Right now, it's producing content, and again, I'm using leverage. I'm producing a piece of content, and I'm putting it on TikTok. I'm putting it on YouTube. And while I'm sleeping, while we're talking, it's out there running around, touching people, speaking to them, and they're finding me. They're then finding my channel. They're binge watching it. They're coming into my group. They're coming to my Discord, and all of a sudden, they're coming onto a sales call and they're like, hey, I'm ready to change my life. I'm ready. I'm done with the 9 to 5. I'm done with freaking some other adult telling me when I can go take a shit and when I can freaking take a vacation. I want to freaking just take control of my life. And so I would say right now, my highest leverage activity is producing content, which is why we're on this call, because if it wasn't,
it got me. I really appreciate you doing it. Cause like I said, it hooked me like 3 weeks ago. It got my attention kind of lined up to something that I was already wanting to do. So I appreciate what you're doing. Like I said, I'm going to finish up my website this week and I'll document the journey and tell you how it goes. I can't wait to see what happens. I'll tell my audience how it goes as well. I'd love to put as many people onto you as I can. So tell people where they can find you.
Yeah. So I'm going to be the only person probably that ever does this. So I am going to tell you this. Everything I do in my program, in my Discord, my whole setup is I only want to talk to people that are qualified. So I'll say this is, you guys are smart. If you can't do a couple of searches on some of these platforms and find me, and by the way, I have people on YouTube all the time. They're like, where's a link to your application? And I literally say, hey, it's kind of an underground thing. It's by application only. If you can't find the link by joining the Discord or the Facebook group, we ain't a good fit. So, and someone will probably read that comment and go, dude, you're leaving money on the table. No. I don't want to waste my time talking to people that aren't qualified. So maybe just because this will be different, go and look on some of these, like go look on YouTube, go look on TikTok. But for real though, go search me up on TikTok and not LinkedIn, TikTok and YouTube. I don't have a website. I never have. My agency, my lead gen agency, we did from July 2020, we've been doing 100K a month average on the lead gen side. And dude, I don't have a website. I do not have an agency website. I do not have a personal website. My LinkedIn is outdated. It's because I believe that if you just, the best way to get deals and the best way to grow is just get results. And so, yeah, it's kind of backwards. I know. Again, everyone's got their fancy website. And I'm like, I'm not going to do one.
I love it, man. I love it, man. That's all I got, Nick. Thank you so much for your time, brother. I've gained a lot from this, and I can't wait to get back with you on how everything goes for me. I look to scale pretty quick, so I want to be one of your top students.
I love it, man.
I appreciate it, brother. That's all I got, man. You take care.
See you, bro. Okay, thanks, man. Bye.